Kidderminster Harriers Fans Podcast, episode 36, live tonight on YouTube for your thoughts and muses as well. The episode won't be on Spotify straight after because I'm in Welsh Wales trying to tap up Ricardo Reis. Although you'd never know. You'd absolutely never know. We start tonight with the news I teased you about on Friday, and it's this. Little old Kidderminster Harriers Fans Podcast has partnered with the juggernaut that is DAZN. So we're in talks with them to take some of our content before matches and some other things as well. For now, every time you want to watch anything on DAZN, please go through our link, which is the QR code in the corner. There you go. The other side. Sorry, the other side. And your favourite Harry's podcast will get a wedge of cash or pennies that we still don't know about. The guys are into the habits. They are. John's mug's looking lovely. So tonight, we will be joined by Dan, Dr. Dreamy Me's, John 6,000 Calories or I Won't Eat It Smith, and the housewife's favourite in his new Harriers gear, it's Nick. So Spennymoor came to Agborough riding high after smashing Merthyr, but came unstuck thanks to a Riley Reynolds goal. The guys were at the match. I wasn't. I was working. So let's hear Nick's thoughts, please, on yesterday.
Yep. Cheers, Wes. Evening, everybody. Thoughts on yesterday, I think the result is probably more important than the performance. I think that will be the rhetoric from within the camp. I guess, I've said this multiple times. I like to see a bit more control in how we play. I've also mentioned entertainment. I don't think we had much of either yesterday, if I'm honest. But in the last three games, we're unbeaten. 2 clean sheets out of the last 2. I thought the centre-back pairing of Obi and Paul, I'm not going to try and pronounce his surname, John, you're better at it than I am, but I thought...
It's easy. Nick, it's an easy one. Go on, John. Pronounce it. Is it Camel? I can't do it. Kalambaye. There you go, Nick. Say it 3 times and never forget, mate. Kalambaye.
So I think those two are very good centre-halves at the level, and I think he's been a timely signing in the same way that someone like a Morrison or a Worrell were last season. They've come in at a difficult time and steadied the ship. So credit to Dean Holdsworth and the backroom staff on that acquisition. So I think it's a good one. What I would say about yesterday, and fans might disagree with me though, if we play that game 10 times, I think you get 3 wins, 3 draws, 4 losses, or whatever. I don't think it's a repeatable performance consistently across the next 30 odd games that's going to get you the results that you need. What else I think about the game yesterday? I've seen some comments on the forum around are we trying to be sort of a 1989, early 90s George Graham Arsenal style team? I don't see us as that at this stage. I don't think we've got the midfield general to see us to that kind to become that kind of non-league team of that sort of nature. Some of the teams that we've seen in the past that have sort of been successful doing that, the likes of Chorley, etc. So yeah, I'm not quite sure we're going to be that. I'm not quite sure that's what Murray wants us to be. I think he sees us as quite an adaptable team. If I think back to the Merthyr game, it was a very different performance to the one we saw last night. Much more expansive, much more fast-paced, much more open, much more entertaining and enjoyable, if I'm honest, less of a slog. So yeah, those are my sort of thoughts there or thereabouts on the game yesterday, to be fair.
Can we talk about I read quite a lot about it, about long ball into the wind. Mm-hmm. Was that the plan? John?
Do you want me to answer that one? Okay, John.
I wasn't at the game yesterday.
Yes, please, Nick.
It's Dan. It's Dan that was at the game.
I was on father duties. My daughter had a meeting in London, so that's how you know you're getting old, when you're taking your children to meetings, isn't it?
Yeah,
that is true, John. Yeah, so I found it strange. I think when the wind's at play, and again, I'm no football expert, but my instincts go towards trying to keep the ball on the ground. Neither team tried to do that yesterday. Now that could be because, we're on this run at the minute where we're trying to sort of get some momentum, get some results, get a bit of belief. But Spennymoor aren't necessarily in that same bracket in terms of their league positioning, but they are off the back of a couple of crazy football matches. I think they got beat heavily against Fylde and then won a 10-goal exchange with Merthyr. So I think maybe it could have just been one both teams wanted to have a game where it was low risk football, percentage-based football. But I thought it was two fairly average teams playing yesterday. There wasn't a huge amount of quality from a creative perspective, with the exception of I thought Dan Mooney was excellent going forward for us. He's a bit of a bright spark. I just think if we have many games like yesterday, and we have had them already at times throughout the season, although, like I say, Merthyr was really enjoyable, I think Adam Murray sort of risking it a little bit, because when you play that style, you kind of need to get results consistently, because if you don't have a huge amount of goodwill left with the paying punters. So I think, look, if we can go out and eke out fairly mundane 1-0 wins and fairly forgettable 1-0 wins for the entirety of the season and get promoted, nobody will care. But if you go through a season, you play like that, you scrape the playoffs, I think it's just not that level of momentum that and brand that a football club like ours kind of wants. That's my personal view. But ultimately, it's 3 points. If we continue to get that from now to the end of the season, nobody will care.
So that's like 7 out of 9, isn't it now? Is that right?
7 out of 9. 7 out of 9 back-to-back clean sheets.
Or 8 out of
against
12.
Against teams that score goals, to be fair. So credit to the defence and the keeper.
Not 8
and
out
the whole team.
That's a lie. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Hello, Dan. Did you win? What's going on?
No, we lost 3-2. I think it's official. Nick has taken the number 1 shirt for the podcast goalkeeper. I think I'm relegated onto the bench. I heard Nick, you had a very good performance. So yeah.
What a night, Nick, eh? What a night. We didn't even do anything. It's brilliant. I love that. So Dan, Dr. Dreamy Mees is in the house. John, this is for you, mate. I noticed Murray said that his remit was to get us in the playoffs. That feels a bit of a letdown after being 1 game away from winning it last season. Do you think that's going to be on the fans' minds? John, what's happening with that?
I think that's changed from when he first came in. I'm fairly sure that what was said by Richard Lane and by Adam Murray when he first came in was his remit was to get us promoted. Now, whether we do that by winning the league or going through the playoffs, obviously there's one route that's slightly less dangerous to the old ticker, but I think. Yeah, that's changed, I think. I don't remember him saying his remit was just to get us in the playoffs. For a club of our budget, coming off the back of, a obviously fairly successful, albeit falling at the last hurdle season, to just get in the playoffs feels like bare minimum, really, not ambitious for me. I think we should be going into that saying, playoffs is really the lowest requisite. I agree completely with what Nick was saying about the style of football. I didn't go yesterday, as I said, but I did go to the Chester and Merthyr games. I really, really enjoyed both of them, actually, but Merthyr, how great was it to see us playing some decent football, but which Merthyr essentially allowed us to play by sticking doggedly to their approach and their style of football. And fair play to them. I admire them for that. And the key thing there is, as you said, Nick, that's brought them a lot of goodwill with fans. I know, Wes, when we spoke to the 2 Merthyr fans before the game, they said, we go into every game knowing, win or lose, we're going to be entertained.
All you for money at that place. If you've got a season ticket at Merthyr, you're getting value for money.
Absolutely, and I think we don't turn up knowing we're going to be entertained, but right now we're turning up thinking we're going to be competitive, and that is really as important. And there has been, I wouldn't say a complete shift, but certainly a bit of a step change in how it feels to be a Harriers fan right now after the last 3 games. I think if we'd said after that Radcliffe game we're going to get 7 points out of the next 9, we probably wouldn't have believed it. But there's certainly been a bit of a step change, and whether we are adopted the style of George Graham's Arsenal or not, 1-0 to the Arsenal, or rather 1-0 to the Harriers. I think
just on that. Sorry, John. Just on that, I think I've looked at the league table. I think we are something like 5th or 6th best defence in the division, and one of the lower scorers. Certainly one of the lowest scorers, if not the lowest scorer in the top 10. You look at someone like South Shields, who actually incidentally lost their first game of the season yesterday, 1-0 away at Macclesfield. They've conceded, and this is a team that is expansive. This is a team that score goals. This is a team that play out from the back. I think they've conceded 6 goals this season. So if we're going to be a George Graham 1-0, sort of side, we're going to need that clean sheet mentality we've had for the last 2 games and for the most of last season to achieve that. And I watched that last 10, 15 minutes yesterday, and I'm not sure if you agree, Dan. If we play that same 10, 15 minutes 10 times, we don't keep a clean sheet more than 5 times. So it's just not repeatable, in my opinion.
I totally agree. I think what disappointed me yesterday was the fact that after we scored the goal, we tried to shut up shop, but without and I take my hat off to the defence, and you're absolutely right, Nick. It's great that we're keeping clean sheets, but they're not comfortable clean sheets. They're terrifying clean sheets. You're sat there watching the ball bounce around our 6-yard box, and it's not, like we're sort of looking organised and solid at the back. I think those clean sheets are probably down to determination. There's no 2 ways about that, and doggedness, but it's not a comfort at the back, and I think that's
individual performances, Dan. They're individual.
I didn't want to say that, but yeah,
they are.
Right, yeah.
Obi and Dibble at Merthyr last 10 minutes, absolutely unbelievable. The ball was being put on the money time after time after time, and Obi was underneath it time after time after time. The only time that it broke through, Dibble was there to make saves. I looked at the game yesterday, and it was kind of the same again. Obi's on every header, trying to get himself in the way of the ball. I thought Kalambayi, there you go, I've given it a go. I thought he was also the same. And then that 1v1, you'll know that all too well, Dan, from your goalkeeping. Unbelievable save, a huge moment. He goes through 1-on-1, and Dibble makes a brilliant 1v1 save. It's individual performances.
It was brilliant positioning.
The pressure on them is just so intense. And
Nick, you picked up on Kalambayi and how he's looking alongside Obi. One thing that I want to say, and I think that we don't necessarily highlight moments where we need to praise Adam Murray as much as we should, and this is really one of those, that we've got 2 centre halves in the starting 11 now who are not only looking like they read the game very well, they're very confident, they're very strong defensively, they're physical, they're good in the air. But here's another key thing: he's got 2 centre halves in the starting 11 who are also attacking threats, which we absolutely need. And from those set pieces, with those 2 in there, I think that's a really good decision on his part, because before the Merthyr game, I was chatting to the guys from Agbra Unfiltered, and I was saying, I'm not sure how those 2 will play together, because their styles are so similar. Are they gonna work? And it absolutely has. And I think credit to Adam Murray for identifying that, because we need attacking threats all over the pitch.
Right, let's go. Sorry, I was just going to say, let's go to some comments that we've had, because I can see your comments absolutely coming in. Tap up Lewis Twamley instead, fast winger, and could put a great cross in. I think we just need a striker, mate, to be honest. The atmosphere at Agbra has been impacted by the wholesale changes to the squad, coupled with constant team changes. It takes time to build relationships and a fluid starting lineup. That's from the graphics guy. I love that. Thank you, Andy. Appreciate that one. Good to see away fans leaving early. Revenge for the home defeat last season. Yeah, we can't let things go, can we? Absolutely can. We just can't do that. Williams got involved. Some great chances created and not taken by by both at Merthyr and on Saturday. Also, Callum Baye and Obi solid in defence. Is this going to turn to a season where it's just literally is 1-0 to the Harriers? Because if it stops being 1-0 to the Harriers and it just... I know what you were saying earlier about the fans are going to be... So you can be bored as long as you're winning. But if you're bored and you're losing, that's not a great place to be, is it? I wouldn't have thought. Am I right there or wrong? What do you reckon?
I think you're absolutely on the money. I think we'll take a 1-0 all day long. Of course we will. That's football, and like you say, it's George Graham's Arsenal. But I think I feel that a 1-0 is never a guarantee, is it? You need 3 goals. You're always nervous on a 1-0. And I think, previous results are still bouncing around our head in that last 15 minutes, against Merthyr, against the Moors yesterday. It's nerve-wracking. It's not comfortable. So to me, I something needs to change still, in my opinion. I think I was disappointed to see Kurt dropped yesterday. I don't know if you guys have sort of talked about this yet, but, we're talking about sort of scoring goals, and I sort of feel like he's the man who is going to start getting goals. And I felt that the Amari Show Silva mix yesterday felt a bit unusual to me, but I guess what Adam Murray's done is he's looked at that kind of where the wind's blowing in the first half, and he's thinking, right, we're going to play long football, with the wind behind us, and we're going to hit the target men. And there was a little bit of success with that. I don't think we looked, particularly dangerous with that. What really disappointed me was the second half. We kept the same shape, kept trying to play a long ball, but the wind was in our faces. So the ball would go up in the air and then just float a bit and then come straight back down. And I do feel that when we get a goal, the immediate thought from the team is to shut up shop. And right, we've got the goal, we're going to defend now. And that felt like, the last 20 minutes yesterday, that's what we were trying to do. And that makes me nervous. I want to see us getting after teams when we go 1-0 up and start getting after them. And bringing Willoughby on there would have probably, to me, felt like the right choice. But hey, I'm not the manager, so...
You certainly aren't, Dan, but I've got a question for you. I'd like everyone's opinion on this if we can. It says, Dan, why are people finding it so hard to fall in love with both Murray Ball and the person himself?
Oh, that's a really hard question.
Good, eh?
Yeah, indeed. Get me thinking. Only just come off the pitch. I would say Murray isn't helping himself, in my opinion, with his interviews. I feel that there is always a vibe of, I don't want to say hostility, but there is always a vibe of us against them mentality with Murray that I think is part of the problem. I think he's not bonding with the fans in the way that we'd like him to. I think, I don't want to talk about older managers and things like that, and it's easy to look back, and what I want to do is look forward. But I just sort of feel like Murray needs to sort of bring himself to the supporters, open himself up, allow criticism. Like, you're going to get criticism. If Wes had been stood watching me play 10 minutes ago, he'd be criticising me. It's part of football. That's the way it is. And I
criticise
sort of think,
you anyway, Dan. So, it helps build your confidence, pal. But
it almost feels to me like he becomes very defensive when there's criticism in the air. And that is just part of the game. Fans are going to feel frustrated when the results aren't going as the fans expect them to go. And I think what Murray, in my opinion, needs to start doing is just becoming part of the club. Nick said it the other week. It doesn't feel like he particularly likes Kidderminster Harriers right now. And I still don't feel like that's particularly turned. And I feel like he needs to show a bit of love, without meaning to sound a bit soft on that, but he does. He needs to show some love to the supporters. He needs to, kind of bring himself and open himself up to criticism and fans speaking out of turn, or however you look at it. But ultimately, that's how you win the hearts, is you create a dialogue. And I don't really feel like the dialogue's there. I feel like he's far too defensive. So that, to me, is the first hurdle to get over. I'd be interested to know what the other guys think.
I'm happy to take that one. I think that there's a couple of things. I think with the interviews particularly, it's not even just a football club. I actually find that he gets quite defensive / passive aggressive with the guy who does the who does the interviews. He's quite snappy. You could say, well, he's under a bit of pressure. I don't think he is under as much pressure as maybe he or some areas of the fan base think that he might be. So I think that leaves a bit of a strange tone to the interview because it's almost immediate and sets the tone for the relevant interviews. I've mentioned this in the past. I think doing a lot of the things that previous managers have done, which is engage with the community. I think that's really important when you manage a local football club. All football club is based on community, and I think he needs to potentially integrate himself into that a little bit more publicly. He might be doing it back of behind the scenes, but would be good to see that more publicly. And yeah, I think there's and look, this could be intentional. He could be really smart and savvy, creating a bit of a not an us against them, but a bit of an Alamo mentality, like us against the world kind of scenario. But he also then says that he wants the fans involved, and this doesn't work if it's not a positive sort of environment. These are young players; they need the buy-in. I think as manager, I think he also has to play a part in creating that in some capacity. Now, the best way to do that is to play champagne football, win games 4-0 every week, and everyone's happy. But in the absence of that, you've probably got to try different methods to engage with the fan base. And if you look at the forums, if you look at some of the notes that we'll see, on Twitter or whatever, that isn't being felt by a large part of the fan base. So, definition of insanity, doing the same things over and over again. And I feel like at times his interviews don't just quite set the right tone for what the fans want to hear. So not sure what the other fans at his other clubs wanted to hear, but I'm not sure he knows what the Harriers fans need and want. And he needs to get an established idea of that as quickly as possible. And it will help on and off the field then.
I heard yesterday, I'm not sure if you guys were in the Harriers Arms after the game. I heard that Stuart Watkins came in for a pint after the game and had a chat
Mario,
to some of the fans. Oh, I'm Mario. That's great. That's fantastic. And whether it's Adam Murray or himself or other members of the team to come in and just have a chat with the fans, hear some of the feedback, take things on board. Brilliant. I'm not asking for Adam Murray to come into the Arms, into the pub. I don't want anyone to put themselves into an atmosphere that makes them feel uncomfortable personally. But there's a couple of suggestions I've got for how he could otherwise create engagement. Number one, another fans forum. We had the Curry with Murray, which I thought was very good. I thought his answers were good, and I thought he connected well with the fans. Let's have another one. Doesn't have to be an event like that, but just a fans forum in the suite. Don't worry about a meal. Just get some rows of chairs and some questions in a very informal atmosphere. If it isn't the right timing for that, then a Q&A interview. The club can collect questions through social media, whatever it may be. I'm not saying, vet them. You don't want them to be just softball questions, but collect questions from people that are then put to him in a maybe half an hour interview with Matt, with Trevor, with someone that can put those questions to him, and he can bring forward his perspective on things. And thirdly, the most obvious one, come and have a chat with us on a Sunday night. Come and talk to us, and just we certainly wouldn't sit here and hammer him. We'd just be really honest and put forward the questions that not only we want answered, but also the people that are commenting right now.
Forget an apology. He can come on all he wants. Now, see, the thing. Actually, that's funny because Matt Sleep said this. Dan is bang on. Murray doesn't help himself in interviews. Always snipe at the fans. Chip on shoulder. Great summary, Dan. Hope you don't get a warning, lol. Which I loved. Gary saying lack of personality doesn't seem to fit in, but that wouldn't be the case around the players, would it? I wouldn't have thought. I imagine he'd be a completely different person around the players. And this one for you, John. There you go, pal.
You're very welcome. I hope that
everyone's
in the new.
I think it looks good.
No staghorns. I'll try and mix it up a little bit. Murray Ball. Just one more thing on Murray Ball.
Yeah.
Okay. So, are we being entertained at the moment and blown away by the team performance or individual performances? Probably not. I think we're in a position where there are 19 teams in this league who have higher top scorers than us. 19 teams that have higher top scorers. So we're not seeing the kind of individual performances that are blowing fans out of the water and making them go home massively entertained. However, we've got to slightly bow to better judgment that's proven to work on some things. I'm sure at Chester, and it sounds like the same yesterday, at Chester when Amari Morgan-Smith and Joe Silver were playing up top together and they were holding it up for no one, I was a little bit like, what the hell is going on? But also, it's a roll of the dice that seems to have paid off twice now, and has got us the point that we wanted there and the 3 points that we wanted yesterday. So, is it the most entertaining thing at the moment? No. Are we seeing positive results? Well, yeah, we are.
That's all that matters. It's all that matters. And I've just seen MJS8224's comment and GForce's comment. First one on GForce is not kick the ball 3/4 of the length of the pitch like it's a rugby union game. Absolutely kill. And I get it, it's all done through data and ChatGPT saying this is the best way to kick off a game of football statistically. Like genuinely, I think that is one of the reasons why teams are doing that, and it's happening in a lot of in all divisions. But the Harriers fans were singing before the game yesterday. The ball goes back to whoever it goes to. They lump it forward. Singing immediately stops. Just kills any kind of positive fan base momentum from the get-go. The other point I was going to make just on MJS's point there, totally agree. Absolutely. The points are the most important. I said that at the start. My challenge is, though, you have to get results that way. So if we continue to win most games 1-0, everybody will be fine with that. But the minute that you don't win games, you have nothing left to fall back on. Yep. And when you've got a manager in post where we don't have that, he hasn't quite got that goodwill at this stage that maybe previous managers have had at times, that's where you get the issues in the crowd. That's where you get the tension that he talks about. Because it exists, because he hasn't had the time or the results is probably the wrong word, but almost like the proof in the pudding of what he sort of sold us at the start of what this was going to be. Yeah. That's for me where I think a lot of the tension at Agborough comes from, is that he hasn't got the credit in the bank to almost get the goodwill from the fan base, and he's got to earn that in a way that is at this stage still to quite be defined. Because I didn't feel it was a positive atmosphere at the end of the game yesterday. The lads that normally do all the singing and whatever behind the goal, even though we won the game, I don't think many of them stayed or hung around or made much of an atmosphere afterwards, which is it's quite unusual when you've won a game 1-0 at home. So there are definitely issues, I think, in terms of the connection between the staff and the supporters. Some of that obviously not helped by the staff member making that gesture that's obviously been investigated. I think
was
Stuart Watkins. Good question. I don't know actually, because I don't sit on that side.
No, I didn't see either. I haven't got good enough eyesight for that. But yeah, I need some binoculars. With regards to the Murray Ball, just one last point on that. It's all very well when the wind's behind you. Like I said, when you're playing into the wind, it doesn't work. And you need a plan B. You need to find a way of getting the ball on the floor and playing it around. And I think that's where the frustration comes in. It did create chances in the first half. There were a couple of times a ball over the top and it turned people around, but the second half it just wasn't working. And when you see the goal actually comes from a move on the floor. There's a ball out wide, a couple of touches, there's a ball in the box, that's headed clear, little kind of short pass from Joe to Riley, and it's a great finish.
I totally agree with this comment, by the way. Sorry,
What's
Dan,
that?
it's just it's flashed up on the screen.
Yeah,
I do totally agree with
Yeah.
that comment. And I saw that. It's the first time I've seen it in any of the games I've been to. So I feel like it's a new routine and rhythm for the team, for the squad. Well, the whole group, they're all involved in that. And again, that's good for them. But what it for me represents in a way is this is the group. You know, it's almost nothing gets out of this group, and I get that when you're a football team and you're a football club. But putting it out in the middle of the pitch when your home fans are waiting to cheer a 1-0 win and celebrate with you, could it not be done afterwards? Could it not be done? I don't know, but optically, I get why the guy is saying there that, you know, that huddle didn't help with the sort of cheering of the players afterwards. It did delay things quite a bit, and I guess ultimately, I genuinely feel like he's trying to really build that us against the world mentality.
That's a shame. Right, okay. So Gary saying, let's be honest, the manager hasn't delivered what he promised to start the season. Do you think this is trying to over-deliver something at the beginning? Because the unfortunate thing for Adam Murray and most managers is football fans don't forget what you promised them, like to be entertained. They don't forget that. So if you're not doing that, that's a real issue. Turn your back to the fans. Oh, is that what happened, Stephen? I wasn't there, so I didn't see. But that's
There was
just a big group huddle, Wes. It was like a big.
There was a group huddle, but then after the huddle, Adam did just seem to walk off, whereas the players did stand and do some clapping, and Riley went over to the north end. But I did just see sort of Adam just heading straight to the dugout. Now, there may be a perfectly legitimate reason for that, and that may be me being oversensitive because of the nature of the conversation we're having. But he did seem to just walk away from it, which my sister commented on that, to be fair.
Just on that exact point, he did the same at Merthyr. That isn't him just going away and ignoring the fans. He deliberately let the players take the plaudits. He didn't want that to be congratulatory towards him, and I think that's a good
and he has stayed on the pitch when we've lost. So maybe it's that classic leadership quality of when we win, the players take the plaudits. When we lose, I will stay out there, and if so, credit to him. And because I have noticed that when we have had a bad result, he has stayed out there. He has taken the heat, and fair play to him on that. And just for balance, quickly, finally on this point. One thing he's brought in that I do like is as the players go in from the warm-up, they do all go around and clap the fans before the game, which is not something I can remember us doing, in recent years. So, it's pros and cons in it. He's not going to do everything the fans want. Ultimately, he's got to try and drive success to the football club, not just appease the fan base. But that is one positive. I do quite like that.
Brilliant stuff. So it's Kidderminster Harriers Fans Podcast. You're joined by myself, Wes, Dan, John, and Nick as well. Dan, you picked up on something, I don't know if it was last time or the time before. Chris Williams on Hereford and Worcester mentioned game management again with Dibble, and it was just laughable because Chris and both Matty Paddock were both saying about it. And Dibble went down, there's more added time, and Chris Williams said there's going to be at least 10 minutes, at least. And he only put 5 up on the board. Is this something we've got to look forward to all season, do you think?
I don't think that the dark arts, as we're calling it, game management, I don't think it was as bad yesterday. I think there was a couple of times where they were clearly slowing it down. I think Dibbs, there was one point where he where's gone?
Where's it gone?
I'm here. I'm just getting wine. I'm getting wine.
Oh, very nice. Look at that. I didn't realise that wasn't a real background behind you.
Oh,
I genuinely thought that was your living room.
I was hoping someone would fall for that. So well done, Dan. Congratulations, you're a winner. Well done.
So I didn't think the dark arts were as bad yesterday. There was a couple of moments where Dibble sort of collected the ball and went down, but he seemed to get up a lot quicker than what has happened in the past. I still wonder if there is a core of National League referees that are trying to cut this out and are adding on more time for this sort of stuff. And I've noticed a few times when Dibble's got his the ball in his hands, the ref has his hand up as though it's like an indirect free kick. But I wonder if that is the
counting down.
Counting the seconds, 8 seconds.
Yeah, okay, I see. I'm with you. But then, again, it shows how much I don't know about the modern game, doesn't it? Just showing my age. But I think, the dark arts weren't as bad yesterday, and I think perhaps there has been some conversation about that behind the scenes, and maybe we do need to sort of tone it down a bit.
It's not an Adam Murray thing at all. Again, I sound like I'm Adam Murray's advocate tonight, but that came in with Phil Brown. Phil Brown brought it in. It's no bad thing, in my opinion. I think we use it really effectively. Last season, we were pretty much the only team doing it, and I think other teams have started to bring it in more this season. It was something that it was around about the halfway mark of the first half. There'd be a little signal from the bench, Dibble would go down, and that would allow the players to receive instruction. It happened nearly every game under Phil Brown. It actually didn't happen for the first 3-4 games under Murray. My suspicion is Dibble's had a word with him and gone, look, this has worked well previously. This is something that we did. And he's then brought it in. And for me, it's no bad thing. I don't think it leads to excessive added on time. I don't think that's the only reason that we're seeing huge amounts of time at the end. I think there's a lot more time wasting from both sides, really, that happened. Obviously, I'm not talking about yesterday's game, but you're seeing time wasting up and down the league more and more.
Nick, could I just say to you, could you move to your right a little bit, please? Just because there's comments. I put the comments on the other side. Just
that's confusing because I'm on my screen. I'm right in the middle of the comments.
No, there you go. That's it. It's just I want everyone to see because I was getting bored of just putting the comments up all the time.
That's all right.
There you go.
We don't want to lose the housewives.
No, that's just the worst thing that could happen tonight. Honestly, just the worst. Digger and Tunney don't look good for Alfreton away, according to Murray in his post-match interview. Do you reckon we'll see anyone else coming in, Nick? Because he's always banging on about, well, if we need someone, then we've got a big list of people. What do you reckon?
Well, you know what? I hope we've got a short list of high-quality players on the list because I think that's what we probably need in that central midfield area. Riley Reynolds has done a fantastic, has had a fantastic run. He's really proven why he should have been in the team a lot sooner in the season, which is great. But I do think we're missing a general in there, a Shane Byrne, Carrington sort of type player. Not easy to come by, not easy to recruit. I get that, but I do think we're probably a player like that away from being a real serious contender for the sort of top 5. A team that can go on and have a really good season. So yeah, I hope so. I mean, on paper, the Alfreton game shouldn't be too much of a challenge. I think they're the lowest scorers in the division. They're going through a bit of a transitional stage, having lost Billy Heath, I think his name is, who was obviously one of their long-standing managers. So a lot of transition there at Alfreton. So it's a really good time to play them, like you say, whereas they got tonked yesterday, which isn't always the best time to play a team. But I'm hoping it could be the right team at the right time for us to go and get some goals, get a little bit of confidence. I'm not going to discredit them and put them in the Farsley Celtic category by all means, but I think they're kind of the team that you would want. If you could pick a team to play, albeit probably at home, actually maybe not, away from home might suit us. I think it's the perfect fixture for us to go and hopefully get an actual win by more than a 1-goal margin, which would be great. So hope we bring in a central midfielder, but it needs to be the right one. And we need to get a Digger type, but I think maybe someone who is potentially a little bit more of a passing midfielder, maybe
playmaker.
A bit more of an all-round midfielder as opposed to a bit of a battering ram disruptor type that Davis is. So hopefully we bring someone in. Do I think we'll bring someone in before Alfreton? Probably not. Is Alfreton a good game for us to go into? I think it is, and I think we need to go and make sure that we attack that game and get some confidence.
Absolutely, we'd need that. Josh saying in the comments, Josh, we mentioned this last week actually, pal. Jaden White has been rumoured to be coming to Kiddie on loan, as isn't even getting in the squad at Sutton. We won't repeat that again. Should probably put the phone number down there. Phone number for what? I'm getting a bit confused now about what that is.
The thing is that I think it's something like this, that they see us in the Harriers gear and think that we're smart, but not fooling anyone. They know we're rock and roll through and through. So yeah.
They're watching the wrong podcast.
So, right, just to comment on, I actually going to slightly disagree with you there, Nick. I think Digger is exactly the kind of player that we do need in there alongside Reynolds. I think having him in there...
We do, John, but he's injured.
Oh, no, but if we're talking about the kind of midfielder, I think that kind of midfield general style, someone who is a bit old school, who will let players know they're there and just battle for the ball. And then redistribute it to your playmakers. I'd rather see someone who's gonna, just put themselves on the line and win the ball back and recycle it than someone trying to overplay it.
And I really rate Davis. So I'm not saying that he would have to be a long-term absentee from the team for us to bring somebody in. I just feel like our midfield mix. I think Candola is best at CDM. Davis is exactly what he is, the destroyer. That someone just put on the comments.
Literally just said it.
And there is an absolute time and a place for that type of player at this league, no doubt about it. I really, really like Davis and his leadership as well. And, Riley Reynolds, I think MJS has put him in there as well. I'm not a massive fan of Riley. The thing is, Davis is injured at the minute. Davis wasn't playing too much last season. Actually, our best period of the season was kind of with a different makeup of midfield. So what I'm saying is I just think we're missing one, to Dan's point, again, just that player that can get the ball, really play some nice forward passes, a Summerfield, a Carrington, a Byrne, someone that can sort of knit play together. I'm not saying to replace Davis, but to complement what we already have, which if you look at it on paper is probably the one area you'd say isn't as good as last season. And I know there's people in the comments talk about the strikers, and I'm sure Wes will come on to that at some stage. This isn't me saying I think the midfield is the issue. I just don't think players like Reece Hall are potentially the answer at this stage if we are looking to achieve a top 5 position. I think we need a flagship central midfield player. And at the minute, Davis wasn't seen as that for large parts of last season. Riley Reynolds has only recently come into the team, so maybe Murray didn't see him as that sort of player. And Cam Candola's best position, in my opinion, both what I've seen this season and last season, is CDM. So I think there's a pocket of space there for a type of player I've just explained, personally. Spokes, I've seen.
Just mentioned Spokes.
I was just about to say that, yeah.
Yeah, Spokes, I think, has looked good going forward, and also love the way that the guy just hangs around on the edge of the box for a chance to fall to him. In right positionally. Matt mentioned earlier in the I know we will go on to talk about the forwards, but Matt mentioned in the comments about Willoughby and his movement and getting into the right areas of the pace. I know this is something that I talk about every single week, and I'm not a Kurt Willoughby super fan. I haven't got a picture of him up on my bedroom wall, but
are you sure?
Not anymore.
I think that quality that you see in his game and that level of footballing knowledge is just exactly what we need, but we need to be patient with that kind of player. And Spokes, I think, is one of those who's showing that level of ability that will continue hopefully to develop.
So Nick Hatton's in the group, which is a great timing, Nick, actually, because I was going to say this. I was listening to episode 32 on my way down to Wales this morning at 6 a.m. Where myself and Nick Hatton, Everywhere We Go, Kiddie, our massive podcast available on YouTube, we're discussing the need for Riley to be in the side every single game. And look what happened when he did. Now, I honestly think if Riley was in the side against Peterborough Sports away, we'd have won that one. Absolutely. I just think we would have done. Because he sets a precedence for the team, doesn't he? Just the way he is and the way... But we'll never know. We will never know. Anyway, John, striker dilemmas. Talk to me about it. What's going on?
Well, I mean, it's probably Adam Murray's biggest headache at the minute, isn't it? Other than wanting to play a game of Battleship against the fans. So, yeah, we're in a situation where we have a lot of experienced strikers, or, okay, maybe we're not calling them strikers, forwards, target men, whatever we're saying, we're in a position where we should be getting players on the score sheet a lot more than they are. In terms of forwards, one thing we haven't really talked about so far today is the difference that Dan Mooney's made coming back into the side. No, he hasn't. It's not that he's back in and suddenly we're free flowing and converting 9-10 chances a game, but we're certainly getting a lot more chances, and we're certainly getting the ball to Willoughby, who's in those right areas, a lot more. I think Show Silver and Amari Morgan-Smith are being utilised as almost identical players. They're put in exactly the same role and asked to do the same thing. Now, I really like Amari, everything he's done for the club over the seasons. I think he's being utilised well. Show Silver, I'd like to see him getting on the end of stuff more rather than just being in that area flicking on. But, Murray's going to know how to play to his strengths, but he's not going to be, I don't think, that goal scorer that we potentially all hoped he was going to be. I mean, he's got, in his entire career, he's got double figures once, I think. So, yeah, he's not going to be that prolific goal scorer. I think we need someone else to come in. I really, really do at this stage. I think we've got two players in Amari and Toby who can do that target man role very effectively. I think Dan Mooney and Kurt are both performing and playing football the way we'd like them to play football. But we do need someone when things just aren't going our way to be able to just get on the end of it. A poacher, really, to convert some of those chances. And I think we need another target man. Sorry, we need another striker on board.
Where's Seb Thompson? Where's Jack Clark? Did we get rid of Jack Clark?
No,
no one's gone.
Yeah, Seb was injured, wasn't he?
Possibly. I was thinking about Jack Clark on the way down. I was like, where's Jack Clark?
Yeah, I was thinking about Jack Clark yesterday that I hadn't seen.
Hang on, whoa, Dan, will you think about him more than you think about our best mate Jim, or was it just the same?
I mean, mate, nobody thinks about anybody more than you think about Jim Kellerman.
Me or Wes?
Wes.
Yeah,
not you, Dan.
Are you kidding?
You were talking about having posters of players on the wall. Rumours are Wes has got one of Kellerman.
I'm not going to say too much about Seb Thompson, apart from the fact that he shouldn't be in a discussion about strikers.
You don't think?
No, he's not a striker.
Can we have a conversation about George Walker playing as a sort of?
Yeah, you see this, Nick. You said this to us. I think you said it a couple of weeks ago, didn't you? About sticking him up front. I would just love to see that. I really would. I'd love to. I've been on and on about George Walker since the start of the season when I watched him at Worcester in the pre-season, and the guy is so rapid. Like, why are we not? I mean, the one thing I like about Kurt is he gives defenders something to think about. His movement off the ball, he pulls people around, and okay, he's not getting on the end of much at the moment, but he's a threat the whole time, and you can see defenders worry about him. I would love to see George Walker up there doing, kind of powering through and just, again, giving people something to think about. I think it's great that the squad's got depth, and I do really like that side of things. But it does worry me that, like you say, what's happened to Clark? What's happened to, what about Bird? Is he injured as well? I think he's
him and Penny.
But it's almost like at the start of the season there was so much excitement about some of the players that were brought in, and like, I don't know. I almost feel like I'm going back on what I said about how I want to see a consistent side, but I also want to see something exciting, and I'm totally with Nick on this. That George Walker.
Question. Okay, you want Walker up front? Who do you take out?
Yeah, probably. I'd like to see Walker playing off Amari just for 20 minutes. Let's see what happens.
Just for the 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah. So 70 goals for, 43 goals against at Eastbourne last season. What a stat that is, Nick. Thank you so much for that. That's a lot of goals, man. That's a lot of goals. Can we see that?
The thing is, though, mate, 20 plus of them are from one man, Alexander.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I said this
Alexander.
at the start of the season. He really does require that centre forward that scores 20 goals. Look at any successful Adam Murray team where he's been manager. They have a player that scores 20 plus goals. We currently won't have that at the moment.
It was Houghton at Fylde as well.
Yeah,
Houghton. You had Danny Rowe, I think, as well. But it probably would have been Houghton with the goals. And then
I think that's brilliant analysis, Nick.
Thanks. Maybe I should get. Maybe I should get myself an iPad.
Weren't that good?
I've seen it again. There's so many comments tonight, which is awesome. But I've seen one saying about experience. You know, George Walker's 21, playing National League North. Like, if he needs to get experience, he needs to play games. We brought him in. We brought him into this level because we feel like he is probably good enough. Otherwise, he would have been out on loan. He has Premier League pace. I just don't understand where. Even if it's just for a couple of games, maybe not so much now because we are a little bit more settled in our performance and our results have started to improve. But I just would like to see, just like how I've said, I'd like to see Devine right wing and cutting on his left foot. I'm not saying these are the answers or, you know, that this is going to play out. But hypothetically, I look at someone like George Walker and think he's the only player in our squad that has a Premier League level attribute. Why not try and expose fairly slow part-time centre-backs and wide men with playing him? You know, surely he's going to stretch teams. Surely he's going to be able to utilise that pace with runs. Yes, he might not be a natural finisher. Yes, he might not be a prolific scorer for us. But I think when you've got that attribute, that level of pace would be good at times to see something like that. And just very quickly on Devine, thought Owen Evans, shout out to him. He was fantastic. I thought against Merthyr, against a really good wide man that's been in the comments. I think he's better defensively from what I've seen so far than maybe what Reece can offer us, but probably not quite so good offensively for what we have with Devine. But yeah, stand by it. Want to see Reece Devine right wing at some stage this season as well.
Question that I didn't write down. I didn't think about it. But Spennymoor had a guy who could throw the ball very far, a very long throw. Now, we have a long throw specialist in Kurt Willoughby, is that correct?
Yeah, our centre forward.
I know, it's ridiculous. It's beyond annoying, although Bird throws it very far as well. Is this something that has just crept into the league, do you think?
Yeah.
It's very much in vogue in general, the long throw.
Is.
It's rearing its head even in the Premier League now. A lot of work with Sean Dyche. He's come out this week and said it's back in fashion. It's happening all over the leagues, isn't it? Which is, I don't mind it. I do not mind the long throw. And apologies, I'll let you. I'm going to talk loads tonight, so sorry, John and Dan. But I think the centre forward taking it. We talk about having a striker who's a poacher. If your centre forward's taking your throw-ins, he doesn't even get the opportunity potentially to become a poacher. So that needs to slightly change. And Owen Evans doesn't have a long enough throw. He was trying it yesterday, and it just didn't quite have the depth that you need.
But the irony of that, the irony of that is we have a centre back who's a poacher in Obi. And actually, if the ball is being chucked in the middle, you've got 6 foot, what is he, 6'4", 6'5" Obi, you know, towering above everybody. And he's got a boot as well. And he sticks his toe on things. And it does. I agree with you, Nick. Yeah, you know, you don't want your centre forward taking it. But it is an attribute that the team has, again, that I think should be utilised and pushing Obi in there. Again, it's just about giving defenders something to think about. And it goes back to the George Walker. Yeah, he's raw and he's not a great finisher, but he's something to think about. You know, I think that's
we also don't know if he's a good finisher. We've never seen him play in those positions.
No, it's very true as well. With the height we have for those two guys at the back, you'd think we've got to be odds on to score from every corner, to be honest. I would have thought that. I really would have. I'm just having a look through the comments now. Yeah, so we're going to do any of the business when we're going to talk about Truro, but Oxlade-Chamberlain scored for Truro, didn't he, yesterday? Which I thought was pretty cool. They nearly beat Gateshead, but they didn't, I don't think, in the end. So that was nice. I'm just looking. Nick Hatton, that's correct, because when we're talking there about Willoughby taking the throw-ins, it was like Harry Kane taking the corners for England.
Yeah. It's not a bad shout, that.
They're just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Let me just have a look, see if we've got anything else. We do any of the business.
Can we pick up on the comments about Jason Cowley?
Of course we can. Please do.
I really like him. I think he's an absolute natural. He's one of the purest natural goal scorers. Obviously, playing at step 3, he had an opportunity at step 2 with Hereford, didn't work for him there, and then he's banging in goals. To say he's banging in goals for fun is an understatement. I'd absolutely love to give him a go. Yes, okay. I think, as someone's commented, he wasn't amazing at Hereford. However, it's all about timing sometimes. And I feel like this might be the right time for him to come back in at this level. I might be wrong, but I don't think he's going to be on mega money. So, if Adam Murray wants to prove me wrong, it's not going to cost him too much.
You're right. See, this is the thing now, where if Adam Murray was sat here with us, he could have a pen and paper and write down all the things we said. Or Dan can write up some notes in the background, and then we can just go, there you go.
So what I'm the PA now, am I?
Yes, you are the PA.
Yeah, is that?
Yes, there you go. Paul
Bailey's
Bailey's talking about
as well. Yeah. Sorry, Paul Bailey's just highlighted Bruce Miniker. He looks fantastic for the under-18s. I don't think he's probably going to be able to come in at this level in the situation we're in. But if we string a few runs together, probably a good time when there's less pressure on to bring that kind of player into the first team setup.
Stephen Brown, just in your comment, there's no need to speak about me and John like that.
Well, the problem is, Nick, I'm as wide as you are tall, mate. So.
Hey, that's a lovely thought, guys. Listen, this has been so much fun. I'm going to carry on just a little bit longer. Any other business now tonight? We don't really talk about other teams, certainly not Premier League teams and stuff like that. But I think tonight we need to give some shout outs to a couple of teams. The first one is Truro, who did the longest journey in British football history. I read it was 914 miles all round, but it could also have been 930 miles. Anyway, Truro to Gateshead. Anyone been to Truro, John?
No, I've been to Gateshead many times, but Truro is the one team I haven't done in the National League, so hopefully to catch them this season.
There you go. So they did that 100, and it was Sky Bet. They put on like 900. They put on £914 worth in the kitty behind the bar at Gateshead for the Truro fans.
That's great.
And they said first come first serve. So I imagine there was a lot of pissed Truro fans.
They also had a free pint at the pub round the corner, which DAZN put on for them.
Wow, our friends, John, the Zone, you can't get better than the Zone. And also, congratulations, Truro. That was amazing. What an amazing feat that was. I mean, is there anyone higher than Gateshead?
Carlisle.
Actually, I think Gateshead's a further trip for them. I think Carlisle are higher, but Gateshead's a further trip for Truro.
Yeah. What about York? That's not as far.
Have Berwick got
This is turning very much into the office without you even trying to make it sound like the office. Can I get a Gateshead? Yeah. Can I get a Darlington? Winner.
Darlington.
Right,
Shields.
Yeah, let's quickly move on.
Ripon. Yeah.
I just wanted to get mentioned to Sheffield Wednesday. After they finally got rid of the shackles that were killing the club slowly and surely, they got rid of the owner and finally they're free and they lost 2-0, but they sold £100,000 worth of merchandise in one day.
It's amazing.
It's like when our away shirt was released.
Yeah.
Nearly the same, mate.
That was just on this call.
So that was it. So congratulations to Sheffield Wednesday. Get back in there, smash it, my friends, and go from there. Any other business? John Smith.
FA Trophy draw tomorrow. Trophy. We're in the hat. Because we haven't played a game yet. So of course we are. Who do we want? Anyone that stands out for you in the draw? For me, I think nice local. Alvechurch won on penalties against Worcester. Nice local one. I think an Alvechurch at home would be nice. Nice start to the trophy. What does everyone else think?
Totally the same, yeah. Somewhat local. Alvechurch probably would be the pick for me as well.
it's regionalised, so we can only get teams.
Oh,
north.
okay. Is that for the first couple of rounds? Is it or?
Yeah, it's regionalised until the third round, which is when the National League teams come in.
Are Stourport still in it? Or?
No,
they're right.
Hale's Owen would be good. Russ Penn back again.
Yeah.
That was good. That was one of my favourite games of last season. Just fun, wasn't it?
Yeah. Hale's Owen's still in. I take it, are they?
I don't know.
No idea.
I'll be honest. I've just given them as a random name.
Real Madrid. Are they in it? I love that. John, that was excellent. Have you got anything else, mate? Any other business at all?
No, all good.
How'd the ladies do today, John? Or yesterday?
They won
1-0. I just want to. I know we've hammered the comments and covered everyone's on the right hand side. Just
much as we could.
Hale's Owen are out, so we can't get Hale's Owen. I think it is Alvachip's the closest one. Yeah, I think the long throw stuff is interesting. Not to do with Harriers, but I was listening to the Sam Allardyce No Tippy Tappy podcast, and he said, interestingly, there's Premier League managers that are now contacting Tony Pulis to ask him about the long throw tactic and how it fits into the game. So remember when he was mocked widely for that being a central part of the game. Now he's being treated like a footballing genius. That's interesting.
It really was. Without the budget, I guess, is what you could say. Dan, dare I ask you any of the business that isn't something we've already talked about?
No, not a lot from me.
Thank you, Dan.
I was just the one thing I did want to ask was Nick, your top. Is that the training top merchandise?
Yes, Nick.
It is the training top, yeah.
So I know my mum and dad watch this, so I just want to say to them, Mum, Dad, that's my Christmas present, right? That's what I want. So
you want the one Nick's wearing, right? Is that what we're saying?
Not that specific one, but
you've got to be clear
from
on
the
that,
club
Dan.
shop that mirrors the current top that Nick's wearing.
Let's just get that.
Yeah, thanks for that, Dan. Yeah, it's great merchandise. Love it.
But then nothing else from me.
Okay, Nick Hatton. Nick, who's been on the panel, so it's fine. He says, any of the business, nice to see a different team leading the SPL. Scottish Premier League, Hearts flying, which is great. There you go. Not really. I'm not bothered about the Scottish Premier League at all. I'm really not. I really couldn't care. John,
to be fair, Wes, it's not far off this level anyway, is it? Let's be honest.
Do you remember we went through that period of selling our players to Scottish teams?
Yep.
Who was it? James Vincent? Did he go?
Marvin Johnson.
James Vincent, Marvin Johnson, and of course the legend that was Jesper Christensen.
Wow.
Did he score 1 in 49? Is that correct? 1 in 49?
I don't think it was quite that many games, but I think he only got one first.
Research that right now.
I think he got a hat trick in the Worcestershire Senior Cup, but I think it's only Soupy who really takes that seriously. I'm going to get pelters for that now.
There's going to be about 1 million people called Jesper Christensen there. Oh my goodness me. Harriers. Right, Nick, have you got any of the business, mate?
A couple of quick bits from me.
Yes,
the first
please.
one is change to a back four since Stuart Watkins has come in as assistant manager. So I'm going to assume that he's influenced potentially that change. I'm not sure whether Eastbourne had a back four last season, but I've noticed since he's come in as the assistant, we have slightly changed and tweaked the defence, which has subsequently led to... Was Watkins in for the Chester game, John? Dan?
Yes, that was his first game.
Yeah, one goal in three games since he's come in, so he's clearly doing some really positive work with the defence. So that's good. We've seen on Tuesday, myself and John saw the joint top scorer in Ricardo Rees. We've also got the next joint top scorer coming a week Tuesday from Bedford, Tyrone Marsh. So those two are 2 of 3 that are the top scorers in the division. So I'll be interested to see how he gets on. Another 2 for Ricardo yesterday and a goal for Marsh yesterday as well. So they're on, I believe, 11 league goals already, which is
Nick, can I ask you a question about them?
Promoted teams as well, by the way.
So was there anything that set them apart from other players that you saw and thought, you know what? Yeah. Rees.
Marsh I've not seen yet, so we'll catch up on that next time round. Rees obviously didn't score against us. He forced Dibble into a really good save in the first half, and he actually turned in a very, very, very small space with about a minute to go and hit one just wide of Dibble's post. Dibble dived for it, so he wasn't 100% sure it was going wide. He just looks to me when you just look at a football player and think, it just looks like a footballer. A bit like the number 10 that played for the team that beat us 5-1, Radcliffe, the other week. And he just looked like a footballer. Reece has that way about him, and he's rapid. He's way quicker in real life than I thought he would be. I thought he looked really fast. So I'm interested to see what kind of player Tyrone Marsh is, but yeah, Ricardo Reece is a baller, and the fact that he is doing it, and the same for Marsh, I guess. But Ricardo Reece has scored bags of goals season in, season out at various different levels, including the steps up the divisions. And like I say, 2 of the 3 top scorers are from teams that got promoted. So when you look at those players, you think, again, I don't know the age of Tyrone Marsh. He might be a seasoned vet, but someone like Ricardo, mid-20s, you can look at them and think, they are footballers that could play at a potentially a higher level, because a player that can do it across the divisions tends to be really, really good footballers. And I think they've got, certainly Reece, again, don't know about Marsh, have got the potential to play far higher up the pyramid. So yeah, he looked good, and his goal record speaks for itself. Scores bucket loads every season, consistent in the hardest position on the pitch. I spoke to him. This is interesting, actually. I spoke to a couple of Merthyr boys on Tuesday, and they basically, I don't know whether they should have told me this or not, but I said, "How have you kept him? Like how have you been able to achieve it?" Because it's not like the old days where a player can go under the radar. He wasn't kept that quiet on Tuesday. Literally, I get what the guy's saying on the comments. He was kept quiet, but he still easily could have had a couple of goals. But
we kept those around him quite well. Someone mentioned
we
Twamley
did.
right at the top of the show, and Twamley I thought we dealt with brilliantly, because he is a rapid player with a great first touch. And Owen Evans, again, deserves credit for dealing with him.
Yeah, we did amazing, but I guess the game plan for every team that play against Merthyr is to stop Ricardo Reece. Like that will be a game plan. So he's having to cope and deal with what I imagine is that sort of treatment on a weekly basis. I've sort of lost my train of thought now with what I was going to say. Yeah, it's gone. But yeah, let's see what Tyrone Marsh is about next week, and hopefully he's another player that we can keep quiet.
Alfreton, let's have a score prediction, please.
1-0.
Yeah, 1-0 to the Arsenal Harriers. Yeah, 1-0 to the Harriers. I think. John, will you be going Alfreton, mate?
I don't know yet. We'll have to see. Maybe it'll be a surprise appearance. I would say 1-0 to the Harriers as well. Also shocked by how many mentions George Graham's got tonight. I did not expect that. Can I very quickly? Can I throw out a challenge to every single person who listens to this over the week and before, especially before the next home game as well? I'm seeing so many comments about the atmosphere and people saying, "Oh, that the atmosphere's dying. It's quiet. People aren't singing behind the goal. The usual ones that sing behind the goal are quieter." Just because you sat down doesn't mean you can't sing. If you're going to the next game at Agbra, sing your heart out for the lads, as the chant used to go. It's not just the responsibility of those in the town and to support the team. It's the responsibility of everybody. There's no reason why you can't cheer, sing, start a chant, just shout, "Come on, Harriers," once in the game, and it's going to make a difference. So get behind the lads as vocally as you can, whether you're in the town end or in hospitality. Go for it.
Jesper Christensen played 38 games for Harriers and scored 1 goal. 1 goal. Do you know who it was against?
I can't remember who scored his goal against.
Me neither.
Kurt's ahead of him anyway. So,
well, there you go. Yeah, but come on now. Right. Anyway. Right. Okay. So, guys, listen. Has anyone got anything else to say? Or are we going to meet up again next Sunday? I really enjoyed this.
Last thing.
Oh yeah,
I've remembered what I was going to say. So the boys were saying that they have a sort of a club, like a fund that they set up, and basically fans pay into it. and it goes to Ricardo Reis. Now, how informed those gentlemen are, I don't know, but they seem to be pretty. They had conviction in what they were saying, that basically the fans donate, and I guess Ricardo Reis takes from that. Again, don't know how true that is, but that's what these two boys told me on Tuesday. I'm calling them boys because it was sort of boyos. They sort of describe themselves as that. But yeah, that was what they told me. That's how they're able to keep him. There's a bit of a pot of money set aside for the boy. Reece.
John, I need to ask you a question there with what Nick's just said, because you are very GDPR and that kind of thing. Can we get in trouble for what he's just said? That basically he's just said he's taking money from the club. Is that allowed? Can we say that?
It's not from the club.
From the fans, then. From the fans.
GoFundMe. You can't get in trouble for mentioning an alleged GoFundMe. We're on safe, legal ground there. And as Matt's just said, yeah, the atmosphere. Latter part of last season, the atmosphere hasn't been great for a while. I think it's better than ever at away games right now. And I think let's try and bring that to home games as much as possible. There's a group in the main stand. Shout out to Greg and Lucy and those guys who were part of that group cheering. And I'm sure there's a group in the East Stand who are a bit vocal as well. I always try and sing, as does my lad, as much as possible, and really give support to the guys. But yeah, every single game, let's keep trying to support as vocally as we possibly can, because that's what makes a difference.
Can I just say, if Adam Murray was here right now, not only would he have fallen in love with Kidderminster, he'd have fallen in love with the game again, and he'd taken all our notes on board, and we'd have bought some new strikers by next weekend. So I just think it's a good thing for him to come on. You don't have to do anything apart from just sit on a chair, look at the screen, answer some questions. You don't have to set up a Murray curry night. You don't have to cook any food. You don't have to do any of that. You just have to come and just chat with the fans. That's all you've got to do. So yeah,
imagine that. Imagine an event where the manager actually cooks for the fan base. That'd be hilarious. Because Murray didn't actually cook the curry himself, but it would be actually brilliant if that was like the initiation moving forward. That any new Harriers manager has to actually do a curry for the fan base.
A beef bourguignon.
Yeah.
Well, someone suggested a much easier one in the week, that we have a fans forum with our new assistant manager, former manager, of course. Much easier than curry with Murray. It's just on the piss with Watkins.
Love that.
Yes, there we go.
That would be fun.
There we go.
That would be fun.
Now, my signal's gone all funny now. So we're going to leave it there, boys. And just tonight's just been so much fun. Thank you so much. And that's what we're here for. If you like what you've seen and you're not subscribing already, please do subscribe to the podcast. Subscribe to the channel. It makes everything an awful lot easier. Okay, so Dan, I'm sorry you lost today, but for us, you'll always be a winner. Thank you, Dan. John. By the way, John, who are those people in the background? Do you know who the people in the background are on the photo? They're all wearing black. Is it some sort of funeral professionals going on in your photo? Got any idea?
No, mate.
Oh, I'll clap you anyway. And Nick, well done, friend, and thank you for showing off the you didn't say you're going to do it and they gave you a discount, did you? Is that what you did?
I don't roll like that, mate. No. I don't leverage my position on the fans podcast to get reductions in the club shop. That would get me in trouble.
Yeah, but no one would know. They wouldn't know, but they might know, but they never know. Anyway, Nick, thank you so much. So yes, if you're watching this and you're enjoying it, please subscribe. We really appreciate that. Don't forget, we are now partnered with DAZN. We're hoping for big things from DAZN, especially on a matchday experience, because they've asked me how we can make it better. And I've told them, and fingers crossed that's going to happen. That's really cool. Hit the QR code, which is over that side by John's head. Well, on my screen it is anyway. And and then hopefully that comes, a bit of cash comes back to us and do that kind of thing. So thank you so much, everyone. Appreciate it. Have a great week, guys. Are we all going 1-0? Harry's against.
I think 1-0.
I'm going 3-0.
Oh, always one. Oh, I love that confidence. So, Nick, thank you so much, buddy. Thank you, everyone, for your comments and stuff.
Have a good week,
guys.
everyone.
Yeah, cheers. Hey, guys. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Right.
Bye-bye.